Well, we're in Acts chapter 1. The Bible's in my phone today. And we last time in verse 5, actually verse 4, this, if it's not the last command, it's at least one of the last commands. I think it would be the last of Jesus' words, at least, to his followers, the disciples. And he said, "Do not leave Jerusalem, but wait for the gift my Father promised." But wait? And we started talking about wait. Man, I really don't enjoy waiting, and I talked about that. I think most people don't enjoy waiting. But it's just part of our life's experience. You're going to have to wait. And there is also this aspect of it's good for you to wait. It's called a lot of things. One of the things that it's called is deferred gratification. Our culture is not only are we not good at it, we're horrible at deferred gratification. We don't want to wait. We are a nation of people who are held hostage by consumer debt. And the reason for that is easy. First of all, we have a lot of discretionary spending, or we think we do have discretionary resources. And so if you have it, spend it. And if you don't have it, you've got probably, I read it somewhere, average family has 4 different credit cards. So pull one out and, charge it. That is not a sin. I do not believe that using a credit card is sin. I don't believe debt is a sin, but I think if we're not wise, careful, discerning about how often, to what degree, all of that, we use credit, we can get into all kinds of big trouble. I think credit is not necessarily the enemy, but if I'm doing things on credit, one of the things that means is I have obligated myself to the one who has extended the credit. That makes me the debtor. The borrower, this is in the book of Proverbs, the borrower is the slave to the lender. And it's true. We become so accustomed to this slavery, I think most people can't even imagine the possibility of being debt-free. So they don't really worry about it, right? Well, just figure I'm going to be in debt all my life, and I'll just work with that. Well, you can, but you don't have to. Here's the difficulty with debt. When I am in debt, whatever it takes to pay that back. Oh, and by the way, in terms of your credit cards, you're probably paying 20% more than that. I guess what I'm saying is the interest on that credit card is 18 to 20%. Really? Okay, I need a pair of jeans. That's $20. We'll add 20% if you used your credit card, because that's what, unless you can go right home and pay it off, and there are people who do that, and that'll work, but not for a lot of us, because a lot of us will go home and we'll pay it off, and gosh, that left me with less to work with. So the next time I, pay with my credit card, I'm less ambitious about paying it off. Well, that's me. I think we have pretty much a nation of debtors. If that's a very frightening thought. Pardon me. If something catastrophic happened and I had to pay off all my debt, would I be able to? A lot of people, absolutely not. I mean, they owe $20,000 and they don't have $20,000. That's why they're in debt. It's a frightening thing. I don't necessarily think every follower of Jesus has to be debt-free. What I'm saying is, if you ever want to be debt-free, you're going to have to learn how to wait. And that's just one slice of this whole waiting picture. Our national debt is just one indicator. It's one symptom of a disease. The disease is, I want it now. Your kids. Most kids, number one, they hardly have any sense of later. That's a predictable, and for me, that's an acceptable part of their development. I'll go into a bunch of other stuff about that, but I don't need to, because it's not about your kids. It's about you. And I could be wrong, but there are a whole lot of parents that they don't want to wait for their kid to be mature. They want the kid to be mature now. They don't want they don't want to wait for that kid to develop the skills of maturity. They just expect them to, don't be so childish, boy. In this period where they do not have much of a view of time beyond now, they don't seem to realize that part of this waiting for them to mature gives you the opportunity to guide them and disciple them toward maturity. Waiting for your kids to mature is a delicate dance, because you want to draw them toward maturity. But there's somehow, it's a moving line, but all kids have this moving line that it is, how do I say it? If I cross this line, I will push them and have expectations for them that are impossible for them to meet. Because they simply, one aspect is their prefrontal cortex and the other centers of their brain have not yet developed to the point that they are capable of the kind of mental and emotional agility that's required for maturity. It's unfair. On the other hand, if I just let them be, and I don't worry about teaching them, I don't worry about helping them grow, I just hands off, let them figure it out. There's some pretty disastrous possibilities with that as well. It's a tough balance. And here's my experience as a dad, and from the study and encounters with other people that I had, I know it requires the wisdom of God through the Holy Spirit. When you wait, For some of us, waiting, it feels like waiting. Let's just sit around and do this, or play solitaire on your phone, or binge on TV. You can do all those things. But while you wait, many times there is something more to do as you wait. Waiting does not have to be passive. We'll see some more about that as we go through the narrative here, but Jesus said, wait. Wait for the gift my Father promised, which you've heard me speak about. And this is verse 5. For John baptized with water, but in a few days you will be baptized with the Holy Spirit. Now, translation-wise, it could read, for John baptized in water, but in a few days you'll be baptized in the Holy Spirit. This is for a lot of people in my category who are, I don't know how to say this without sounding somewhat offensive to lots of people, but I'm not a charismatic in the sense that I don't speak in tongues. I don't have words of prophecy. I've never, I'm not saying these things can't happen. I'm just saying it hasn't happened to me. I've never touched someone and healed them. There's pretty strong divide between non-charismatics and charismatics over the issue of baptism with the Holy Spirit, baptism in the Holy Spirit. There's actually, even in the whole Protestant world, there's actually a little bit of a divide about baptism in or baptism with water. There are some who believe baptism is not an issue. It's not a command. It's not an observance that is necessary. I'm not going to get into the whole big deal on this. I'll just challenge anybody who feels that way. Click up a Bible program, searchable Bible program on your computer and type in baptize, baptized, baptism, and do a search in the New Testament and just see, what does the Bible say about baptism? What did Jesus say about baptism? What did the apostles say about baptism? Okay, but this baptism in or with the Holy Spirit, that's a whole nother issue. And I'll just tell you, for me, a couple of quick things. First of all, Jesus was speaking to the apostles. He sure, there are principles in this for us, but he's not telling us to stay in Jerusalem. What? Wait in Jerusalem until the gift comes. I think that's already happened. Okay, so he's speaking directly to the apostles. You will be, in a few days, you will be baptized with the Holy Spirit. It will be an event. It will be a moment. It will be unmistakable. These are my interpretations of what Jesus said. Now, we'll pick it up here next time on Soul Care with Stevie Boy.